Hey, it's Denise, and as I'm knocking over all my pens here, I'm trying to start the video while also keeping my head so that I'm blocking the glare from the mirror behind me. So much multitasking. Just in the mail, got an order from Johnny Seeds. I've placed 2 orders recently, so there should be, not Johnny Seeds, forget I said that, seedsnow.com. I'm one of those people that you send me a good coupon, like in an email, and, you know, not if it's one of those, like, nonsense coupons that don't really save you anything, but like they sent a $10 off $25 purchase. To me, that's a pretty significant savings, especially when it's somewhere that has pretty reasonable prices to start with. I mean, if it were somewhere that their prices are crazy and you know, aren't really, you know, you're hardly going to get anything for $25, then I would not be excited. But a place that has, you know, pretty fair prices to start with, getting a $10 off, $25 purchase, coupon code, yeah, that will get me to go, look, I moved and you got the glare. That will get me to go to the website and pumpkin and see what they got. I also think part of why they're sending these out is probably to let people know that they've gotten restocks, because they were out of quite a few things, as a lot of seed companies have been. As people are well aware by now, there's a seed shortage, and there's an anticipated seed shortage in the spring as well. So that's why a lot of people are trying to buy their seeds at this time rather than waiting till spring, because if the shortage gets worse, you won't be able to get anything to plant for your spring garden. So it makes sense to try to buy stuff now. So anyway, I went ahead once I saw the coupon code, and let me see what I got here from seedsnow.com. And on go the granny glasses, because we know otherwise I would just be guessing. Don't I look like a librarian? Okay. I like that they put that little, you know, happy planting Denise there on the receipt. I just think that's nice. Okay. Okay, I ordered a bunch of things. Let's see. Wow, I got a little carried away with myself. Like that's something new. I do that. I get a little carried away with myself with the seeds. I wouldn't have that giant seed collection that, at this point, I have practically no excuse to not finish organizing it, because if you watched my earlier video on, you know, my seed collection was basically a bunch of plastic bags in a cardboard box that was just no organization, no rhyme or reason. So I did order a plastic, it sold as a storage organizer for photos or craft items, but I had seen someone else use it as a seed organizer, and I thought, perfect. So I ordered one, and as it turned out, about maybe 2/3 of the way through my box of seed mayhem, that the organizer was full, that I was going to need a second one, and that I'm going to have to, some things that I grouped together, I'm probably going to have to separate into separate categories, and some things, like, that are, you know, even though they're one category, say winter squash, they're going to have to be separated out, you know, maybe need more than one of the containers. So I've kind of been procrastinating, because I know I have 1 or 2 outstanding seed orders still that I'm waiting on. After this, I believe I have 1 more order from Johnny's. I said Johnny's again. I checked them out recently, and I ended up not ordering, because I think almost anything I looked at, they didn't currently have in. Seedsnow.com, that's who I'm reviewing. Well, not reviewing, really unboxing. These are a couple 20% offs. Yeah, 20% off is nice. But yeah, again, they had, like, after I placed this order, they sent me about a week later, another email with the same $10 off deal. So yeah, I went back and did it again. That shouldn't surprise anyone who knows me, especially because now most of what I got, and I'll show them to you, like, they're not the standard big paper seed packets. Okay, need to talk a little slower. My words are obviously just not working today. They package their seeds. Now these are like their sampler size, because they sell seeds in a variety of sizes of packets. For most seeds, I go for the sampler size. Kind of let you see the back. And they come in a little clear plastic bag like this with a sticker, just telling you like sort of what it is. So it's kind of actually better than a paper packet because it's resealable, although they often are a smaller amount of seed than your average paper packet. But I often don't use the full amount of seeds in a paper packet anyway, so especially if it's a variety I'm trying for the first time or something that I don't necessarily need to grow a lot of plants of, I'm perfectly happy with these, and I'm happy that they're resealable and that I don't have to tape them closed after I open them like you do with a paper package. So let's see what we got. This one that I just showed you was, it's a beet. It is Detroit Golden. Should I hold it up again now that I just told you? Detroit Golden is the variety. I'm trying not to have a seed-a-lanch here. I don't want them sliding all over, so that I can show them to you one at a time. What is this? Okay, this is a gift, a free gift of, you're like staring at the side of my head while I control seed-a-lanch. That's not what I had planned. This isn't going well, is it? This is a free starter. It says it's lettuce salad bowl red. So it's got like the little peat pellet, that you add that round disc, the compressed peat moss that you add water to, and it kind of fluffs up to like a little bag of peat moss sort of, and then the seeds are in there. You can see them. The seeds are in there that you could start a plant or two right here in this little peat pot if you wanted to. So yeah, this is a red lettuce variety that they sent for free, which I always think that's nice when people send stuff for free. I'm a fan of it's free. I don't. The only thing I would say, my only negative as far as this packaging, is that generally you want to protect your seeds from strong sunlight. Now, for me, it's not really an issue because I'm putting them in a case, which is then kind of, put away in either a closet or on a shelf, or like I'm not standing in front of a window or out in the middle of a room. But if we're going to have them sitting out on a counter or something, the paper packages give some protection from sunlight, whereas these don't. But again, for me personally, not a problem because I'm going to be storing them inside a small case, inside a larger case. So I'm not really worried about them getting too much light. So here we have carrots, and I go for generally the shorter variety. I don't try to grow those 8 or 9 inch long carrots because I'm usually growing in containers. And if I were to try to grow in the ground here, we have very dense soil, and carrots you're just not going to get properly shaped, nice long carrots in dense soil. You're not. So it's better if you have heavy soil, or if you're planning to plant in a container that isn't like a foot or more deep, you probably are better off going for one of the varieties that just isn't going to try to grow longer than, say, maybe 6 inches or so. Next, we got lemongrass, which kind of falls under herbs. People use lemongrass both as a seasoning, like they'll throw it on chicken or fish that they're cooking. You also can use it in teas. If you make your own, like dry it and use it as an herbal tea. So lemongrass is one of those kind of general useful kind of things, and I thought, why not? It's not something you see everywhere. Let me grab a packet of that. You'll see I have a lot of that attitude this season. I like to have a variety of seeds. Like, okay, like, I admit it. I have a seed habit, okay? I admit it. I know it's like, if I were trying to be in recovery, that would be the first step towards it. You know, admitting you have a problem is the first step towards getting help. I know I have a problem, but the problem is I don't want to get help, especially during our current situation, where I think it might be a very good thing for a change to have a really big seed collection, even though my neighbors aren't particularly gardeners. Here I got spearmint, which, as far as mints go, spearmint is definitely my favorite. Any of the minty flavors, even if you look at like candies, I don't like peppermint. I can't stand wintergreen. But I like the taste of spearmint. Now, it has a tendency to be invasive, like all the members of the mint family. So this is better for, even though in a lot of areas it will perennialize, it will spread like crazy. I would suggest, if you're spreading it, planting it rather directly in the ground, plant it in its own little area bordered with bricks or stones or something, so that it can't just keep crawling across, or like it will take over your whole, garden area. Personally, I prefer to just grow it in containers, and at the end of the season, snip it and dry it. And again, this is great for making herbal tea, and you can use it to cook with. Some people also like to put it in their iced tea or lemonade to add that little spearmint touch. Next, mugwort, because who doesn't need some mugwort in their life? These are tiny seeds. It says there's about 100 of them in here. They're so small. I don't know if you can even really see them. Mugwort is a sort of traditional, been around for a zillion years type of herb that's used sort of in some folk remedies. I don't know that you take it internally, but it's also just grown sort of as a companion plant. And I thought, hey, if I'm going for the whole herbal garden, why don't I pick up some herbs that I've never grown before? And I can always, I have all winter to do my research to see whether it's something I would actually use, and if so, how do you use it? So that was one of those. I'm glad I moved what I looked at out of the avalanche area. Hhorhound kind of falls into that. And no, it's not with a W. It's with an H. Hhorhound is an herb that in traditional medicine was used for like sore throats or, upper respiratory kind of irritation. So that is one that they actually used to make hard candies out of it, like your first sort of like cough drops, if you want to think of it that way, because it supposedly can help soothe your throat. Now again, I'm by no means any expert in herbal medicine. I'm just sort of this winter reintroducing myself to the subject. I mentioned that in an earlier video, that it is something I did a little more of like half a lifetime ago, and I would love to get back into learning more about it. So I figured this winter I can do some more reading and research, and when I had the opportunity to get some of these more unusual seeds, I was like, why not? Never grew it before, but let's try. Here, I got, I thought I was picking up two of the same thing. I ordered two of these. I can just skip it when I find the second one. Pimento peppers. Now, I personally love pimentos. To me, the first thing I think of, and you might think this is weird, but I think of like turkey a la king, because when my grandmother would make it from any time she had leftover turkey, she would make turkey a la king, and she was very limiting as far as what seasonings went in there. but it had to have pimentos and it had to have mushrooms. Basically like a white cream sauce for the turkey. And again, she specifically used it as a way to use up leftovers, whereas I've made it not so much with turkey, usually with chicken, but like I'll just go buy the boneless chicken and boil it, because like you don't necessarily need it browned, just to make chicken a la king out of it. But like from my childhood memory of it, now if you're not familiar, pimentos are not a spicy pepper. They're not hot at all. In fact, if you eat olives, which I do not, if you get the green olives that are stuffed with a little piece of red pepper, it's usually pimento that is inside them. So I have not always been able to find pimento seeds. So when I saw that they had them, I thought I would love to try to grow some of my own pimentos instead of having to pay a couple bucks per tiny little jar of pimentos at the store. So I did buy 2 packets of these. Next, this is going to go back to I have to spend all winter convincing my landlord to let me take over half of the south-facing yard as a garden. So keep that in mind when you see me with things like this. This is Moon and Stars. It's a watermelon variety. And again, like I'll just show you, like this is their, these are all the sampler size packets. I did not order any larger amount packets from them. And you can see about how many seeds are in there. With like something like this, a lot of times it'll be like 10 to 15 seeds. Again, do I need more than 10 or 15 watermelon vines? No. As it is, like I said, I'm still trying to negotiate being able to use that south-facing lawn as a garden. But would I need more than 15 of these? No. If you are someone who has a large area that you can devote to vining things like melons, you might want to buy a larger packet of seeds. And like I said, though, seedsnow.com, they do offer most of their seeds. They might have the sampler pack, and then they'll have also a larger pack. Okay. Here we have back into the herb family, and these say about 240 seeds. Again, these are tiny. They're kind of almost little like poppy seeds. It's catnip, which is a member of the mint family. So again, it can be a little on the invasive side if you're planting it directly in the ground and it is somewhere warm enough where it would perennialize. So just keep in mind. I don't think I currently have any cat neighbors. Monkey, who had lived 2 doors down for a long time, passed away last year. So I used to spoil him once in a while with some catnip. I don't currently think I have any cat neighbors. But people do use catnip, again, as an herbal tea. It is said, unlike how it makes cats freak out, it is said to have a calming effect, supposedly, on humans. Like it would be one of those, like how people have like chamomile tea at night to help them sleep. Sometimes if you buy herbal teas, you'll see the ones that are supposed to help you relax or are more of an evening bedtime tea. Sometimes you'll see catnip included in those. So I figured if I was going to go wild with trying to grow if you could like see all of the ideas that this brain comes up with, it's just so sad that I do not have all of the physical space required. Like I want to do one of those traditional old-fashioned like bicycle wheel, like 12 or 13 section gardens where basically you make it a circular garden and then you do like spokes like a bicycle wheel to divide it into like 12 or 13 sections. A lot of people do 13, so it correlates to the number of full moon cycles per year. And you would then have a different herb in each one of your sections. Now, you don't necessarily have to do herbs, and you don't necessarily have to do it in 13s, especially depending on the size of your circle. If your circle is not very big, maybe you only want to divide it into quarters. Agriculturally, maybe you could then think of them as the 4 seasons of the year. That is assuming you live somewhere that 4 seasons of the year. But I digress. So yeah, I got catnip because I know it is one that's used in herbal teas. And I may have some catnip seed, but if I do, it's at least 3 years old, I want to say. So when I saw it, I figured it was time to pick up some new. Rosemary. I do not currently have any rosemary growing. This is, it says approximately 20 seeds. And again, am I going to need more than 20 rosemary plants? No, I'm not. Most of these sample size seeds are either 99 cents or $1.99, kind of depending on like how rare a thing it is. I don't know why I was holding that covering my face. I still have a headache. I've been trying to still do like a video every day, but I still have a headache, and it's making it kind of miserable. But anyway, so you can see they're relatively small seeds. This is for rosemary, which is used in all kinds of recipes. Now this I have grown indoors before in a pot on my kitchen counter, and as long as you kind of trim it back, you know, and don't let it get all leggy and wild, it grows like almost like a little bush. So it is an easy one to grow right in your kitchen if you want to have it around sort of year round to use it fresh. Otherwise, you can plant it outside and then dry it and store it and use it dried. Next, parsnip. I've eaten parsnips, but I have never grown parsnips. It says about 50 seeds. Now, when you consider parsnips being a root vegetable, much like carrots, obviously each seed, assuming they all germinate, each seed is one root. So it's one of those, it's not like a tomato plant that's one seed is going to give you a ton of things. It's more like a carrot that one seed is going to give you one root. So again, 50, do I need to grow more than 50 of these? No. Am I going to have room to grow more than 50 of these? No. So I was perfectly happy to just get the small packet of them. Again, if you were going to, plant tons of them, you would probably want the larger pack. Here we go, a pumpkin variety that I don't have. And as we know, I love pumpkins and have a lot of varieties. This one is called Weeby Little. It's apparently relatively quick growing in that it's, how many days did it say it is? Oh, all the information isn't on here. It's one of the, being a smaller pumpkin, it'll finish hopefully maturing on the vine completely during the relatively short growing season that I have. Pumpkins tend to range anywhere from like 90 to 120 days, most of them being like in the 110 range. My growing season is pretty much June, July, August, as far as being safe that you're not going to have a frost. Our last frost can be as late as June 1st, so you don't really, planting in May is risky for anything that is not able to tolerate a frost. And our first frost is due usually around September 10th. So really, June, July, and August is all I have in terms of things that can't tolerate frost. And certainly things like watermelon, which this is Crimson Sweet. Now this is a larger, like full-size watermelon. It says there are 10 seeds. Again, this was like the sampler pack. You can see the seeds, see the label. I've honestly only grown watermelons once, and it's not while I've lived here. It was when I was living in the more southern part of this state, and I did not have much success. Although I had also very heavy clay soil there, and it wasn't an area that was convenient to water, so I was pretty dependent on how much, the rain they got was kind of the water they got. So maybe if they had been better attended, they would have grown more. But I just, so for me, it'll kind of be, yes, I've technically grown them before, but I did it once and it was kind of a failure. So growing watermelon will be kind of a new thing for me. Here's just some broadleaf sage. So back to our herbs. Sage is great. It's kind of that primary herb that you put in breakfast sausage. So if you're getting ground pork from your butcher and you want to turn it into breakfast sausage, the easiest way to do that is salt, pepper, and sage. That's really, I mean, if you look at some really tasty, like locally made, or for example, I like to get the breakfast sausage from a butcher box, and I think that's pretty much all that's in theirs is like salt, pepper, and sage. That's like your classic breakfast sausage. So when that's not available, sometimes I'll just get the ground pork, and when you have sage, very easy to make your own. Also, like stuffings, like for Thanksgiving or any other time that you might be stuffing a turkey or chicken, sage is a very common herb to put into stuffings. So, put that over there. Here we have Long Island cheese, which is a winter squash. It says about 15 seeds. Now, they can grow to be pretty good size. Again, we're back to I have to convince Greg to let me try to garden in the front yard this year. He let me put up trellis gardens, not this summer, but last year when I actually had someone to help me. He did let me put up trellises. And so I'm hoping, being that they were a success and they were beautiful and people commented, I'm hoping that he will be a sport and let me take over more of the yard next year. Because I'll definitely need it if I'm trying to grow big things like this. And there you see the seeds. Now, like, this is something I would not attempt to try to start in an arrow garden because these seeds are just too big for the little grow sponges in an arrow garden. So this is something that I would start in one of those, I've showed you before, I have the little biodegradable bags. They feel like they're made out of like what a tea bag is made out of, like that sort of paper. Is it cloth? Is it paper? Very thin, white. Anyway, they're like little bags about maybe like 3 inches across. And you could fill them with your potting soil or seed starter mix, whatever you're starting your seeds in. So a larger seed like that, I would definitely start in something like that. I'm not going to try to start that in an arrow garden. The seed is just too big. We're down to our last few, and one of them we get to skip because it's just the second pack of the pimentos, and I already showed you the pimentos. So, I think I finally accidentally killed the lavender plant that I have in my kitchen. I forget to water the poor thing, and you know what? Honestly, it was in that same container that I bought it in. It's got to be almost 3 years. I think it got really root bound. I think that probably was a bigger problem than the fact that I don't water it as often as I should, because it always seems to be very forgiving and come back from when I forget to water it. But right now it's looking pretty dead, and I'm thinking it probably, as old as it was, needed to be transplanted into something larger. So I ordered some English lavender. I will try to grow some of them indoors because I like to have it in the house. I like, even when it's not flowering, it still smells like lavender. And I promise this one, when it needs to be transplanted into a bigger pot, I will do so. I've got a long way to go from a little seed to a couple-year-old plant that's big enough that it needs to be transplanted. But at least I can start because I found somewhere that had the seeds I wanted. All right, so even though I kept saying the name of the wrong seed company, just to be clear, this was from seedsnow.com. And here's their business card. And hey, maybe you can try this code. I don't know if you have to be already a customer. Maybe you don't. Maybe it'll work on your first order. Feel free to give it a try. It says it expires at the end of the year, at the end of December. So if you're watching this before the end of December 2020, I guess go ahead and give it a try. Seedsnow.com is the name of the website, and I've ordered from them. I guess this is like my 3rd year now ordering from them. Never had a problem. You order, your stuff arrives in a reasonable period of time. So I definitely consider them a reputable site, and they have lots of heirloom varieties. They have some hybrids, but they mostly have lots of really great heirloom varieties. So if you're someone who is preferring to grow heirlooms so that you can save seeds from your own plants, and then next year you don't have to worry about if the seeds are in stock, because if you're growing heirlooms, you can save your own seeds from your own plants. So yeah, check them out. If they're, if you're still seed shopping, definitely check them out. And that's it. I've talked for a half hour about seeds. I like gardening. I can't help myself. Once the next order comes in that I'm expecting from them, that'll pretty much be my last excuse to finish the organization of the seed collection. And I feel like once it's properly organized, then nobody can refer to it as the seed hoard. It will officially be the seed collection because it will be neat. That makes sense, right? To anyone who's a hoarder, it makes sense, I'm sure. Hopefully it makes sense to other people. Please like this video. If you're not familiar, if this is your first time seeing one of my videos, I basically have things broken down into 3 playlists. I do gardening videos, I do unboxings and product reviews, and I give my opinion sometimes on a variety of topics, often having to do with disabilities and health issues, particularly migraines. So if you're interested in any of those 3, hopefully you're interested in one of those 3, or you probably wouldn't be here, check it out. Please like, subscribe, feel free to share, and if you decide to order any of these varieties, for the first time, to give them a try, let me know in the comments section. I'd love to know what you're growing. Have a great day, and as always, thank you for taking the time to watch.